the brutal thing about the TNSR airdrop was everyone seemed to just be staking their NFTs to get the points, because as soon as the drop happened, like the price of the NFT just completely plummeted, right? And like, that's you ungrateful pieces of Welcome back to Midcurve. We haven't done one in a while, so we're going to do this one with just Andrew and I. We were supposed to have Solana Legend on today, but he had an emergency, or he was traveling to Dubai. I don't remember which one. So we decided to reschedule for next week, I think, or the week after. So today you just have us, the Jito boys.
In classic Midcurve fashion, as we try and record with somebody, the entire market nukes.
Yeah,
just blood in the streets.
Yeah, that as well. That's a problem. We have a knack for crashing markets. So I think we're taking over for Up Only, because every time they did a podcast, they used to crash the market. And now
that's right.
We're carrying on that torch. So good times. So we just have a few things to talk about. This one will be a quick one. The first one we want to talk about is obviously the state of Solana. So Andrew,
I mean,
maybe give us a primer on that.
Yeah, a primer. So this is a funny one because I work for the Jito Foundation, so people assume that I'm, a Solana gigabrain, and I can pretend to be one for short periods of time. But I have no idea what's going on Solana. I just know that I can't, close any of my perp positions, and so they're rapidly headed towards zero. I think
my theory is that we're
on this, though.
Well, my theory is that we're actually staying at the levels we're staying at because no one can sell. I mean, it can't go down if you can't hit the red button. So I feel like it would be much worse if you could actually sell your tokens. But yeah, I watched Mert talk about this, and I understood about 30% of it as a certified Midcurve. But TLDR and the high level answer is, and again, like, I don't even know if this truly is the answer. I'm just trusting what Mert said, because I saw another post from Austin at the Solana Foundation today that came out and said something like, there are a lot of people talking about why things are happening, and a lot of people disagree with why, Solana is in the state that it's in. But things are obviously being worked on around the clock and being fixed. So I think that's like the bright spot in the future. And the other bright spot is that we wouldn't have this problem if no one was using the chain, right?
Yeah.
So that's, silver linings there is that people actually want to use the chain, and there's interesting things happening on Solana. But TLDR is block leaders are overwhelmed. What used to happen was that the chain would just go down. But because of fixes now, block leaders have the ability to pass on the transaction to the next block leader, and then they can pass it on and pass it on. The problem with Solana is that if your transaction doesn't land within a minute, it essentially times out and it just disappears, or I guess it fails. So, and according to Mert, you can't see this on any block explorer or on Dune. So the charts that you're seeing about like failed transactions, like, they're not completely accurate. You can only see these failed transactions from the RPC side or the validator side. So long story short, essentially what's happening is there's too many transactions overwhelming the block leader. They're passing on those transactions instead of just completely failing, or they're pruning them immediately, I think. And once your transaction has been passed on, your transaction times out and it just fails. So that's not a good look. No. There's some other things going on, which I'm not going to go into because I'm not an authority on the subject. But I'm here to give, just dumb takes and some high level takes. So I think that's the basics of what's happening.
Well, I think the most important question, though, I know the guys at labs are, you ever seen that one photo of the guy standing in front of the server, looking like he's trying to fix the thing? I know everybody's doing that right now, but collectively, when do we, ship the upgrade that solves the problem?
Yes, 100%. And again, I think like Mert had a tweet about it yesterday. The guys at Helios are working on it. Anza also working on things. Also, Fired Answers set to maybe potentially launch later this year. Who knows? But hopefully that can fix some things because it's like a full, it's like a new tech stack essentially. Obviously, Jito is working on things, and we've provided some solutions to, ease the pain that everyone is feeling at the moment. So you can go and check out Buffalo's Twitter. He's talked about it. We posted about it on Jito, the Jito Soul account. We've given some solutions there, and it looks like we're helping land. Like bundles are helping transactions land. Essentially, is the TLDR there. So if you want to use bundles, that can potentially help.
Got it. Yeah, I had a friend of mine called it a brownout. The network's not down, and it's happening because everybody's trading shitcoins. So just stop, spending your net worth at the shitcoin casino, and then everything will be better for everyone.
Yeah, but I can't. That's the problem.
That's right.
It's called an addiction, and I can't quite kick it. The other problem is ore is happening right now. People are mining ore. So maybe, and I saw that you had a tweet. You are part of the problem, Andrew.
Well, I'm trying to be. The problem is I've done like a couple hundred transactions on ore. I keep landing hashes that should give me some rewards. But I can't get a single transaction to go through. And so I am spamming the network, but I literally have yet to profit even fractions of a penny off of it yet.
Okay. Well, that's a problem. I was going to set up an ore miner later today, but now that you've said that, I'm not even going to bother.
I mean, if you have a Mac, the app is supposed to be a little bit better, but I use Windows, so I'm only using the web browser for it.
Okay.
And I can't land a transaction. I keep, it's fun. It really does sort of give you a much better understanding of how proof of work mining works.
Yeah.
And even just as like an educational tool, I think it's very interesting. But yeah, I haven't earned anything yet because I can't get a damn transaction to go through. It's amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. Actually, one thing that we haven't mentioned that you should probably talk about is, what is it, JIP-1?
Oh yeah. So JIP-1 is currently up for vote. This is a proposal from the foundation, from us, that would change the amount of validators in the Jito stake pool. So right now, when you stake your Solana with Jito, you get this liquid staking token back that you can go use in DeFi. But the Solana is actually staked with one of about 120 different validators. They all have different parameters. They all have different settings in terms of how much commission they take and things like that. So we're going to be expanding the number of people, if this proposal passes, that we delegate Jito stake to. So it's going to further decentralize the network. It'll be better for the security of Solana, for the long-term health of the project. But in order to make sure that it doesn't impact the performance of Jito Soul, the amount of interest that rewards stakers earn, we're also changing the max commission cap for stake pool participants. So it's a pretty important proposal. I think it's a little in the weeds in terms of the average user, but it's a big step as we get ready for the launch of StakeNet, where all this is going to be managed in a more decentralized way. So I would encourage people to head to the forums, check out the full proposal there and the discussion around it, and then head to the Realms interface to vote.
Perfect. Enough said. That was awesome. So the next thing on our list is the Avi case. Can you give us a TLDR of what's happening right now?
Yeah, so this was an interesting exploit that happened, a year and a half ago at this point or something like that. But Mango Markets was one of the largest decentralized DeFi protocols on Solana. And it suffered an Oracle exploit in which this one guy, Avi Eisenberg, who was notorious for these kinds of exploits and attempted exploits across DeFi, He had done this in a previous market, and he attempted to do this. He attempted to do something similar with Curve. He was going to manipulate the price of the CRV token in order to liquidate Curve's founder, who had a huge position open on the Aave lending market. But he manipulated the price of an asset on Mango in order to get these weird lending terms, and ended up costing about $113 million in bad debt for the protocol. It was a crazy sort of controversy around it, because he argued at the time, he initially tried to pretend that it wasn't him and tried to cover his tracks, but some on-chain sleuths sort of found him out. He tried to claim at the time, though, that it was a what he called a highly profitable trading strategy, that he was sort of, working within the parameters of the protocol, and that what he did was both ethically and legally permitted, because, if people didn't want the exploit to happen, then they should have designed the protocol differently, right? They shouldn't have allowed it to happen. It's sort of the fault of the developers and not his malice. And there was one very, very famous tweet about it in particular, where he said, "What are you going to do? Arrest me?" A month later, he was arrested. And now he's on trial. The government is arguing that he committed fraud, and his lawyers are taking a really interesting defense. They're sort of saying, crypto is this new, really hyper speculative asset class. Anybody who is involved in these markets knows what they're getting into. Everybody knew that something like this could happen. And they're really taking his initial defense, which is, arguing that it was simply just a profitable trading strategy. It's been a lot of fun to watch. It's like the government just had some expert witness on who owes money in back taxes, and the defense is doing this really good job, again, of painting everybody involved in the industry as a scammer and a huckster. And, I think it's working. Like, there's a universe in which the defense actually wins this case, just because somebody looks at this and says, people should have known better. Anybody who is involved in this, maybe they deserve to have their money taken. And I don't agree with that, obviously, but it is a sort of sobering reminder of the industry that we work in. You gotta watch out, and you gotta take personal responsibility sometimes.
Yes, 100%. We'll keep following that because it's an interesting story. But I remember one tweet he had, and I don't know if you remember this one, but it was something like, if your friends aren't talking about exploiting projects, or like what he like went on, and then there's like, what, you need to find new friends or something like that. And I was just like, this guy is something else. Anyway, yeah. So we'll keep following that one, because it would be interesting to see what happens, and like if he actually comes out of this unscathed or not. Next topic we got going on as we're ripping through these topics is the Tensor airdrop. Tensor airdrop went off, another like wealth creation event for everyone. I love the Tensor team, love what they built. I've held a Tensor for a long time and been staking it, so I'm excited to see what happens. The brutal thing about the Tensor airdrop was everyone seemed to just be staking their NFTs to get the points, because as soon as the drop happened, like the price of the NFT just completely plummeted, right? And like, that's you ungrateful pieces of like, what, you animals, what are you doing? This team is building an actual product, and that's your loyalty. That was my first thought when I watched like the price of the Tensors just drop. So I'm here to say that I have no respect for any of you who just sold your Tensor, and at the same time, I have a lot of respect for you, because that's what a free market is, and you're allowed to do that. So
I mean, I think it's like the wormhole drop also had like a similar sort of Hindenburg price action. But I think people are realizing you got to pay your taxes. Let's see how these charts look after April 15th, and maybe maybe
Yeah.
these new launches will be a little bit healthier looking.
Yes, exactly. I hate taxes, but I pay my taxes. Joe Biden, if you're listening, I pay my taxes. The interesting thing, though, or the thing to do, if you are a loyal Tensor follower, believer, and you now hold some Tensor, what should they do with it, Andrew?
You know, there's this really interesting product right now on Camino. We've been going hard with Camino. Me and Marky, I feel like we're on Twitter Spaces every other week talking about a new token launch these days. Exciting April so far. But there is a heavily incentivized Tensor Jito Sol Camino vault. You can provide liquidity to this vault. You're earning, right now it's over 100% APY in fees. You're also earning about 50% APY in JTO rewards and a little over 50% in Tensor rewards. So it's really, really heavily incentivized. But despite those really heavy incentives, there's still not a lot of deposits in there. Only 1.3 million in liquidity, and it's got a 5 million cap. So if you are holding your Tensor, and that's a strong team. That, not financial advice, but not there are worse things to hold, certainly. This is a great way to earn a lot of rewards and have a place to park your airdrop.
Yep. And if you're holding, same thing with Jupe. If you have Jupe, we have the Jupe Jito Sol pool, Tensor Jito Sol pool, and the W Jito Sol pool, or Wormhole Jito Sol pool. And you can go down, look at liquidity. Like Jito Sol pool is the biggest one on Camino right now, 31 million in TVL. Yeah, just plenty of stuff to do, plenty of rewards to earn, as Andrew said. I don't know why you wouldn't be doing it, because again, like I feel like we've been hammering this point for a long time. But it's like, if you're holding this token, you might and you believe in it, you might as well put it in there, because I mean, there's not financial advice by any means, but you're going to earn Camino points, you're going to earn rewards from Camino or from the pool itself, and then you're going to earn block and the MEV rewards from holding Jito Sol if you're also providing Jito Sol, and you're going to earn extra JTO rewards. So like, for me, this is just a no-brainer. If I think these teams are going to continue to ship and succeed in the future, and I'm holding their token, this is where I'm putting them, and I have personally. So anyway, that's enough on that rant. Let's move on to the last thing, which is something interesting, which is BODEN. It seems like in the midst of all the chaos, let me pull this up really quick. One token has stood strong, stood tall. BODEN. We are all paying our student loans.
It's so beautiful.
BODEN is going to pay our student loans if you're holding BODEN. It's just a fact at this point. And you know what? Like, I almost fumbled this bag hard, because when we were let me just tell a story really quick. When we were I bought BODEN super early, and then I was we were in Tahoe, and a certain person, I'm not going to name any names, but a certain person from Jito Lab side convinced me to sell it and buy a different token. Also not going to name that token. The token immediately went to zero. And that's just the game. So I had to buy back in I bought back in with BODEN at a higher price, but still low enough. And then I posted another Midcurve, let's say,
the Midcurve portfolio is.
This is the Midcurve portfolio now. Yeah. So let me present this screen. Okay, so I also built a Midcurve portfolio. The portfolio now includes Bonk and BODEN, and that is it. And I posted about it like back on March 26th. I said I put $3,000 into each one, and we'll just see how it does. This is now the Midcurve portfolio. I looked at it April 8th. BODEN's up to almost $10,000. That's crazy. So we'll see. I don't know what it is. Like, I haven't looked at it lately. I don't know what the price is right now, but what the portfolio is standing at right now, rather. But we'll see how this goes. We're going to keep following this. Also a developing story. And we'll we'll come back to you. Hopefully we pay off the Midcurve student loans. But we could also go to zero at any point. So we'll see. So I think that's it for this episode. We're going to keep this one short and sweet. What do you think? Any closing thoughts?
No, man, it's crazy times out there. Just stay safe, because if you can stay alive, we'll be higher eventually.
I feel like that's the name of the game of crypto for like the last, I don't know, 10 years. Just stay alive. Stay alive. Don't trade perps on leverage. Andrew, I'm looking at you. And again, this is not financial advice, but stay alive, and we'll see you soon.